What is up? Welcome to another Sober Morning Reset. I am Aaron, the Sober Life Coach. I'm a coach, author, and I've been 7 years sober. I was able to do it without AA or rehab. I was able to create my own framework, my own path, and I want to help you guys do the exact same so you can live a happy, healthy, alcohol-free lifestyle. Today, we're going to be talking about something that was really life-changing for me, and I hope it's going to be life-changing for you too. We're going to be talking about the disease theory of alcohol, and how Alcoholics Anonymous and these other recovery programs can work for some people, but I didn't see them as a fit for me, and you might not see them as a fit for you. And they've all heard once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. But what if there was another way to see it? What if there's another way to look at it? And those are actually the questions that I asked myself when I first got sober, because I didn't want to go to rehab, I didn't want to go to AA. Those things seemed like something I didn't want to do. I had family members that have gone through the programs. I had those people recommending those things to me my whole life. I was at a young age. I was going along to these AA meetings with people I know in my life, and I saw that as something that I didn't want to do. I didn't want to sit around in a circle. I didn't want to admit I was an alcoholic. And I was also really into personal development, and I still am today. And I realized the power of identity, the power of repetition, the power of, telling yourself something over and over again and calling myself an alcoholic every single time I went to a meeting and thinking about it that way. It just didn't work for me. So we're going to talk about the old model of the disease model. The disease model theory says you're powerless, you're permanently broken, labels define your future. Once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic, those kinds of things. That is kind of the model that has been pushed on a lot of people. And yes, it works for some people, and that's totally awesome. I'm open to finding whatever path works for you. But the problem for me is that this keeps people stuck, right? It creates a shame and fuels drinking for a lot of people. It builds fear. I'll never escape this, right? And your identity locked in as an alcoholic. So the first thing it does is create shame and fear, and that fueled my drinking a lot of the times because I didn't want to admit that. I didn't want to admit I was an alcoholic. Didn't want to admit I was powerless. I do have spiritual beliefs, but I still didn't want to admit that I was an alcoholic. I didn't want to admit that, I had this problem that I couldn't solve. And yes, I do have these spiritual beliefs that are involved in Alcoholics Anonymous and those other programs, but I still didn't want to admit that. I still don't want to see myself as an alcoholic. And I wanted to just see it as a problem. And I realized I was just a problem drinker. There's stages to drinking, right? There's kind of the gray area stage where you're kind of drinking once in a while. It's kind of building up a little bit of a problem in your life, but not too much. Then there's a problem drinking stage where I was, where you're kind of starting to drink daily. You're starting to have a problem with it. You're starting to see financial problems. You're starting to see health problems, those kinds of things. And then there's the physically dependent stage, which is alcoholic use disorder, which is where you're physically dependent on alcohol, and you have those things in your life that alcohol is in your life and you can't really get rid of it because you're physically dependent. You can have withdrawal symptoms, medical problems, those kinds of things. And that's kind of the danger zone there. But, once I realized that, my identity didn't have to be locked in as alcoholic, I could escape this. I did have power to change, which is a habit loop with an addictive substance later on top. And once I started uncovering that, once I started uncovering what alcohol was doing to my body, my brain, those kinds of things, I was able to solve the problem. So that's kind of the problem that I find with Alcoholics Anonymous and these disease model theories is that it keeps people a lot of people stuck, and it works for some people. It just didn't work for me. So the disease model of sobriety is alcohol is a chronic progressive disease. You have a fixed identity, once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic, right? You're powerless over alcohol. Recovery depends on surrender to that. You have a lifelong struggle, focus on abstinence and ongoing management. You have to manage this whole thing all the time. There's a lot of stigma, like alcoholic or addict can reinforce shame for a lot of people. And it's just one path, right? It's a single path. A lot of people only think that path is there, and it's limited to abstinence-based models and group programs. The problem is it keeps people trapped in a broken identity instead of building a stronger one. And for me, like this fixed identity, the powerless, the lifelong struggle, the stigma of being an alcoholic, all those things stop me from getting help. And there's a lot of people that maybe like you that are stuck in the cracks, right? Maybe you don't feel like you're at that point where you need to even think about being an alcoholic, but you do have a problem and you get stuck in this trap. And then what happens is, for me anyways, I was stuck there, and I progressively got worse over time because I didn't seek help. I didn't seek treatment. I didn't hit rock bottom. My life was okay on the outside, right? But it was slowly falling apart. And I needed to change. And I wanted to change before I hit rock bottom, before my life fell apart completely. And I wasn't able to do that until I realized that I could change this. I had the power to do that. I had the power to move forward. And I could look at it as a habit with an addictive substance later on top. I can break a habit. Bad habits can be changed. And that's what really made me have a stronger path to getting being sober, and I don't have to manage this every single day. I don't drink anymore, and that's that. I can go out to events where there's drinking, and yes, maybe sometimes my mind will go to that place. Hey, wouldn't it be nice? But I know that there's consequences to my actions. I have better habits in place, and my life is so far beyond that that I don't even think about it anymore. And I kind of felt guilty when I first had this happen to me as well, because everyone is pointing to AA or rehab, and you have to do this, and you have to do that. You're going to be an alcoholic for the rest of your life. And I was able to quit, and I was able to be around alcohol, and I was able to do all these things. And I felt a little bit guilty about it because, people ask me, how did you not relapse? How did you not do this? And it was just because I changed my identity. I changed who I was. I changed the where I was going. I changed how I acted. I changed all these things. I went from the be, do, have model instead of the have, be, do. Have, be, do means that you're just quitting drinking, removing it from your life and just hoping your life gets better. But B do have is you becoming that sober version of you. You're stepping into that version of you, and you no longer need alcohol in your life because you've uncovered those limiting beliefs. You've put the work in to get to where you want to go. So that's kind of where I was at, and that's kind of the disease model of that I see out there. But there is a new perspective, and it's identity level changes. We talked about in the Sober in Six program, the Sober Morning Reset coaching program. And the core belief of mine is you can change who you are, and the behavior is going to follow, right? You have a new identity now. I'm a non-drinker. Aligns with actions with you, who you want to be. These your align your actions and your alcohol-free lifestyle align together. You align with your values. You align with the actions, and you start becoming that sober person, right? And I'm more empowerment focused, right? Focused on personal agency, strengths, not powerless. Right? This, right? I don't want you to feel not that you're not powerful, right? You have strength, you have agency, you have things in your life that you've worked before. You can work those into your alcohol-free lifestyle, right? And it's also a future-orientated identity level change, right? Sobriety as a path to growth, success, purpose, passion, those kinds of things. That's definitely where I'm at with my alcohol-free lifestyle, and that's what I teach a lot of people as well. And then there's integration, right? I want to connect sobriety to my health, relationships, career, my legacy. Everything relies on me living an alcohol-free lifestyle, and it's not even just living an alcohol-free lifestyle. Everything relies on me being healthy and having proper habits in place and putting things in my life that are going to drive me forward, not backwards. And alcohol is one of those things that drives me backwards, right? And that aligns to my health, my relationship, my career, my legacy. Everything relies on me not putting poison in my body, relies on me showing up every single day, relies on me to do a lot of things, right? And then identity level change also builds resilience. A slip doesn't define you, right? Your identity holds firm even after you have a slip, because you know that it's not you that's having the problem. It's just a failure. It's just some data that we can look at, move forward. Because once we start identifying with failure, once we start identifying, oh man, this is bad, I am powerless to this, I can't do that, you start getting into this screw it cycle, and that's where full-blown relapses happen and things like that. So I like to think of it, it's not you, this is just a failure. Let's not perfect action, imperfect action brings perfection in the long run, right? So just get through it and get past those things and just know that you are that sober person. You just need to step into it, right? And the opportunity here is sobriety becomes a superpower, not a life sentence with identity level change, right? It becomes your superpower. It becomes something that gives you an edge in your life. And that's definitely a new perspective for me. When I first started quitting too, I didn't realize that I could change the way I was acting. I could use the things I was learning in personal development, psychology, those kinds of things that I was improving other areas of my life. I could use those in changing the habit of drinking. And once I saw it as a habit, I was like, okay, I can change it. I can read books like Atomic Habits. I can read books like Charles Duhigg's The Power of Habit. I can put physiology change and things like that I was learning from Tony Robbins. All those things, I can put that into my alcohol-free lifestyle, and then I can change it. It was kind of crazy because I was like, I didn't connect the dots, right? I always thought that there was one way to do it, but there's many, many paths out there to change your life. And, identity level change is the one that worked for me. So the first thing you want to do with identity level change is declare your identity, right? You don't need to change. You need a label. You don't need a label to change. Your next sober morning is proof, right? Say it. I'm becoming the kind of person who wakes up proud, right? You don't need to label yourself an alcoholic. You don't need to label yourself a drunk or whatever. You just need to change at an identity level and label yourself. If you want to label anything, label yourself as that sober version of you, that sober 2.0, the sober mom, the sober dad, the sober entrepreneur that shows up and has passion, right? And every time you have a sober morning, morning, or you do what you say you're going to do. You're going to cut back one drink. Awesome. That's a win. That's proof that you're moving forward, right? Your next sober morning is proof. Waking up with clear energy and proud. That is proof that you're changing at an identity level, and that's proof that you're moving forward. So, that's something that I wanted to kind of compare and contrast is this disease model of alcoholism, which is kind of outdated and old, and not where I want it to be, and versus this new frontier of living an alcohol-free lifestyle, changing an identity level, changing your habits, changing the way we look at things, changing our perspectives, those kinds of things. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are in kind of this gray area. Maybe you're in a problem drinking stage and you don't want to go to AA, you don't want to go to rehab, but you feel stuck. And that's where people get to, continue drinking, and then they get physically dependent, and then it's too late. It's a lot harder to quit when you're physically dependent, right? So definitely where I see a lot of people, and I want to get you guys before you get to that stage, right? So we're gonna be going through the Dare to Be Sober method here to kind of get through these limiting beliefs and change our lives at an identity level. And first of all, it's going to disrupt the thought, right? I'm powerless against alcohol. Disrupt that thought. When you have that thought, just take a breath, take that power pause, 2 minutes, kind of take a breath, relax, sit with it for a moment, then ask yourself, what if I'm just stuck in a habit loop? What if I'm just stuck in this loop, right? With the triggers, the cravings, the rewards. What if I can learn how to adapt my brain and my habits to reset my mindset to get to where I want to go? And if you can get out of this loop, then you can change it. So what if you're just stuck in a loop? That was one of the questions I asked myself, and it really changed my life. And then let's reframe this. You're not diseased. You're just rewiring your habits, right? You're not diseased, you're not powerless, you're just rewiring your habits. You're stepping into identity. It's just a habit with an addictive layer, substance layered on top. And you have to know how your brain works with addiction and things like that as well. It's not like we're going to just throw this whole just say alcohol is not addictive, because it is. And there's going to be cravings, there's going to be reasons why you feel sad and depressed, because alcohol is a depressant and it brings on anxiety and things. But we can also uncover the limiting beliefs we have around it, so that we can uncover it all and reset our mindset, and then rewire our mindset, and then reclaim our lives afterwards. So just kind of a reframe there. You're not diseased, you're just rewiring. You're stepping into something new. And then the plan is execute. Choose one sober night to step into that new identity. Just one sober night, or cut back with one drink. Complete abstinence doesn't have to happen right away. You can just maybe cut back a drink, maybe cut back a drinking night during the week. Just get to that first couple sober mornings, just so you can kind of get a taste of sobriety. What's it like? Those kinds of things. I'm always an advocate for long-term abstinence and getting rid of alcohol out of my life. But if you just need to start by just cutting back, or you need to start at maybe having one sober night a week, or whatever, that's awesome too. Build that, and you can see, and let the sober mornings be proof that you can get through this, right? And it does take about 4 days for you to get alcohol out of your body, just a caveat there. So that, a week, maybe 4 days to a week. So if you can take even a week-long break, that's awesome, if it's safe to do so. And like I said, if you're drinking every night, you're going to get shakes, triggers, tremors, those kinds of things. And this is not medical advice. Don't just remove alcohol out of your life completely. But if it's safe to do so and you decide to go cold turkey, that's awesome too. But just remember, it's just one step at a time. Get to that next sober morning. That's the first horizon you want to get to. And then we can start stacking the sober days after that. So that's definitely something we want to do. So today's mission for you guys, I know this video went a little bit long, but I'm passionate about this because this really did change my life. Disrupt, right? We're going to disrupt the thought, I'm powerless against alcohol. Let's take a breath and just sit with that for a minute. Are you actually powerless against alcohol, right? And then ask yourself, what if I'm not powerless? What if I'm just stuck in a loop? What if it's just a habit loop with an addictive substance later on top? What if I can change the habits in my life? What if I can look at the triggers and the cravings and put new tools in place so that I can get to where I want to go? Put a new system, put a new plan in place to get where I want to go. That's where where you want to have the change. And then reframe it. You're not diseased, you're just rewiring, right? You're not diseased. There's nothing wrong with you. You just have this bad habit in your life, and we can get rid of that. And habits can be changed. You can change. You have the power to do that. And then execute. Choose one sober night to step into your new identity. And one sober night doesn't have to be a night. You can just cut back by a couple drinks. Maybe you cut back by 1 or 2 drinks, or maybe you have a complete week sober. Whatever it is, just get to that next sober morning and kind of stack a couple sober mornings in a row and see how you feel, right? And see, once alcohol leaves your system, how do I feel? Your brain might still be aligning itself too, so give yourself a little bit of grace. But I can guarantee after a week, you're going to start to see that maybe you're sleeping better. You're going to start to see a little bit more energy. It's not going to be this drastic change right away, but you're going to just start to see this. I remember the first time I had a sober morning. I woke up. I was clear-headed. It was probably about a week or two into my, into quitting, and I just realized, wow, I am clear-headed. I don't really feel like I forgot what I did last night. I don't feel as depressed and sad this morning, or the anxiousness that I had. And I went and had breakfast with the kids and had a great morning. And I realized this is what I want. That is the sober morning I want. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I was able to do that over time. So definitely something that you want to just kind of stack and see how you feel and kind of compare and contrast. Compare when you have a couple drinks and see how your morning goes compared to when you don't, because that's going to help as well. So, the horizon technique we talk about as well. Picture tomorrow morning, clear, proud, no regrets. That's the real win. Just one sober morning at a time. Those are the real wins. The connection we can have with people, the way we show up at work as entrepreneurs, as professionals, as parents. That's the real win here. And then when in doubt, let's dare, right? Let's disrupt, ask, reframe, and execute. It's always there. That's something you can remember. Let's dare, dare, dare. Just put that in, tattoo that on your brain, because that's going to be something you can use in the moment when you're having a craving, or you need to disrupt some thoughts, or those kinds of things. You can always put that there with yourself. So, anyways, guys, thank you so much for letting me be your coaching guide. Life is so much better on the sober side, my friends. This is something that really, really moved me forward and changed my life. In 2018, 7 years ago, and I really wanted you guys to have that kind of perspective that there are other paths or other ways to get to where you want to go, and I want to help you create those paths and see this future for yourself. That's where we talk about the four horizons and the Sober Morning Reset program to get you where you want to go. If you're interested in the coaching program, the first step is a sober strategy a call. You can jump on with me. I'll give you a 30-day plan, give you some clarity and some support. We'll walk through these four horizons, what they are, how to implement them, and then if you want to get the more accountability, the more support, the one-on-one coaching, customized every single week. We can walk through these together. Then you can join the Sober Morning Reset coaching program. You can apply for that, and if you get accepted, it'd be a couple sessions, one session a week for the next 30 days, and get you to where you want to go. Anyways, guys, thanks so much. If you want to want to apply for the Sober Reset strategy session, you get it for free. Just click the link and you can book a call. Calls fill up fast, so jump on there, get on a call, and I'd love to talk to you guys and see how I can help you. See you guys in the next video.